My name is Rick Hayes, and I'm a member of Morrisville Fire Department. I've been in the fire service for the past 38 years. I started out in college, small college not too far from here, and became a firefighter during college and worked my way up to the ranks of fire chief for District 3 Fire Department, assistant chief, and I've gone to the University of Houston and Texas A&M to learn extrication. My passion, I'm a national certified in extrication and instructor in extrication. So I've done a lot with the extrication line, but as you saw out there, every accident is different. Okay, every crash that we go to is not the same. And in the extrication, when I went to the University of Houston, they put us in scenarios we thought that would be the end of it. As you saw it here, it isn't easy to take the jaws, and the worst part about this whole deal is when we're out there, these people, these great people that volunteer their time are in a controlled environment. When we get to a scene, the patients are screaming, parents come up, they're having a fit, they want to get to the scene. Everything out there does happen to us. And I've had 2 cases in my life, and one of them I live day to day, and it affects me day to day. And I'll start off by saying I went to school locally. I went to a small school in Plattsburgh called Mount Assumption Institute. It was a boys' Catholic private school, so we were very regimented as far as control. Like with you here, you're here, you go home at night, you have some sort of guidelines and rules that your parents set for you. Once you leave here and you go to college, everything changes. All right, you don't have mom and dad getting you up in the morning, so if you don't go to class, you flunk. All right, when I went from a very strict group to a college, and the first thing I did when I got there, met my roommate, met a couple other people. What did we do the first weekend? We went and got a 6-pack of beer in Saranac Lake. We drove from Paul Smith's to Saranac Lake, got some beer. Boy, we were big. We were away from our parents. We did whatever we wanted to do. My buddy and I and all the other fraternity members went to a bar called the Store Tavern. We drank from 9 o'clock at night till midnight. Doesn't sound like much, but for 18-year-old guys, 19-year-old guys, it was a lot of drinking. We piled into my buddies, my best friend, my roommate, his little Chevy Vega, which is a little 2-door hatchback. He's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, 2 in the back. And can you picture this? 4 more people in a hatchback, 4 young pledges in the hatchback, and we were just raising holy heck. We thought we saw a car coming behind us, and I told my buddy, I said, if you don't beat that car, if that's the other group, I disown you as a friend. Stupid thing, but I was drunk, and he was drunk, and he was driving. He lost control of the car. It flipped 7 times. We ended up in the potato field upside down in the car. The 4 pledges were ejected through the hatchback. Broken arms, nothing serious except for my best friend. He was pinned from here down under the car, waist down, and kept hollering that he couldn't feel anything, get him out. He was paralyzed from the waist down. Now picture, we are foresters. We went to college to become forest rangers. And like he told me during rehab, how can I be a forest ranger in a wheelchair? I said, don't worry about it, Joe, you're going to do fine. We were supposed to graduate in May. And here, he's in a wheelchair. None of us finished that semester. He was going to come back Labor Day weekend when school started. We had 1 semester. I got a call Labor Day weekend, that Sunday. We were supposed to pick him up Monday morning, and his mother called me and said, Ricky, are you coming over to get Joe tomorrow? And I could tell something was wrong with her voice. And I said, yeah, we are. We've got the car all set. We've got another station wagon. We're going to get the wheelchair. We're going to get him, and we're going to finish, and you're going to see what we're going to do. She started to cry, and I couldn't understand why. My buddy had given her a list of stuff and her husband to go into town to get that he needed for school. While they were gone to town up there, he proceeded to go out in the garage and commit suicide because he didn't want to be a burden to his parents. He didn't want to be a burden to me. He was scheduled to get married that summer. His fiancée girlfriend was pregnant with his son, and nobody knew it. It was going to be a surprise to him. A few years back, I got a call from her because I kept in touch with her, and Joe Jr. was getting married. And they invited me to the wedding and went up there, and the night of the rehearsal, this little guy, I call him little guy, he's a grown man, a great guy, and he came up to me, he said, Uncle Rick, he said, what was Dad like? What do you say? How do you feel when this young man asks you, what was his dad like? What do I say? He was a good man. I was the jerk because I let him drink and drive because we wanted to party. That was all what college was about back then. We partied, and we partied, and we partied. And I said, he was a great man, and you'd be proud of him, and he's watching over you now. You know how they say lightning doesn't strike in two places the same time or ever strikes the same place again? Well, guess what? Came back to Plattsburgh and got married to a wonderful woman, and I had a son who I idolized. I mean, he student athlete, basketball and baseball, and he was really good. And he went to Canton, met a friend from just about the same town, the same area that my best friend was living in. One day he came to me and said, I want a motorcycle. I said, no way. I have been to too many car crashes involving motorcycles. There's just no way. Well, he wore me down, and he got one. His best friend had one. They rode and they rode and they rode, and they had a great time. One Sunday they came to the house, there was 8 motorcyclists. We're going up to Rouse's Point, through Malone, Paul Smith's, back through Route 3 down to Saranac, and we're going to come home. And I said, good, you guys get home at 6 o'clock, and I'll have steaks on the barbecue for you. 6 o'clock came and went. About 6:15 on a Sunday night, this little squawk box page alerts all the volunteer EMS and fire personnel went off. It said, serious motor vehicle crash in front of the Northern Lights Bar on Route 3 in Saranac. SUV versus motorcycle. Don't let it be my son. I'm being selfish. I don't care what other kid it is, don't let it be my son. It wasn't 10 minutes later, the pagers came over again. It said, call car 12 to the scene, which means coroner. There's been a death. 8:15, I got a phone call, and by this time I'm having a fit. It's my son. He's at CVPH Medical Center. He goes, Dad? I said, yeah. He says, you know, Sean's really bad. So I said, no. I said, I think he's dead. My 21-year-old son broke down. We got him home. For 1 week, he never left his room. He didn't get on his motorcycle. He didn't do anything. And I didn't know why until after the fact was, at that crash scene, he had ridden ahead to the little rest area right by the river because he was tired of those guys drinking at the bar. He heard the siren go off, so he thought something had gone wrong. So he went back, and when he went back, his best friend, just like mine, was laying face down in the road. He'd come out of the Northern Lights Bar with the other 6 riders, popped the wheelie and hit a car, went over the top. They lost control and went down the trees, but he went face first on the tarmac 150 feet. My son had to go away. My son had to go away last August for 4 weeks downstate to get some help because demons were finally getting to the point where he couldn't even sleep at night. It was that bad. And this young man had the world in front of him until that accident happened. And every day now, he's learned how to deal with it. But it's 1 second. 1 second. Each and every one of you in this room has friends, I'm sure of it. But don't let somebody push you into something that you don't want to be pushed into, please. Because a lot of times you want to be accepted so bad that you'll do what they say to be part of the group. So please, if you got anything from today, if you got anything out of this today, just think about what would happen down the road. Because if something happens to you, even though you're fighting with your mom and dad today or tomorrow, they're going to miss you. It's not embarrassing to get rid of your keys. It really isn't. I've done it, and I'm not embarrassed to say I do it. So thank you for your time.